All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report Town Hall session. We're talking about the clergy and politics. And I see there's a question here from Ken Kalali, and I'll pose this to Sheikh. He says that the Reverend was openly anti-BBI in a matter that's already very divisive. Wisdom should have guided him to avoid sounding like he's taking sides. The responsibility as a spiritual leader comes hand in glove with the need for wisdom. Yeah, and Sheikh, should the religious scholars be more gentle with the congregation, especially on divisive issues like what Ken Kalali is suggesting?
Actually, to shut the mouth of a religious leader is just to tell them abdicate their duties. However, the referent, the way he was talking, that right now we were seeing that the referent said, you know, the perspective somebody talks is very important. The referent was just saying that I am not against the holistic aspects of PPI. Yeah. But we have to believe that. And nobody, what he's saying is that one, it is not an outright truth and an outright actually prosperity for the country. Yeah. They have their hiccups. When 2010, when the Constitution was made, we had in ourselves that today we have shifted from the colonial law into Kenyan law. But as we progressed, we found, and the interpretations being done, that there are problems in this law. And that is why the American law, for all those centuries, they were just developing it and actually changing it into what is better, and the world is changing. Therefore, the law and everything and the living standard must be changed. Yeah. The way I feel it, the BPI is a test for Kenyans. But we will not say that it will, the way I concur with him, that it will not change our entire life. But it can be changing some of it. We can see that in many places, many areas, people, they who's and cries, while others are also comfortable with it. And that is the way it is supposed to be for a developing country in its laws and it is all aspects of spheres of life. Yeah. What is just should be said that people should be left talking. And they should not be branded that you are here and there. Because we have the freedom. My brother has the freedom of talking in the church the way he wants. But now, shall we say that your views should be not be heard? No. Okay. He's a knowledgeable person in his domain. Therefore, if you try to tell him that you are this side or this side, I did not hear him whatsoever he has said previously, but now he has said and concurred with me that we need to engage ourselves still with PPI. It has good things. It has also some negativity, so that we close and try to correct the negativities. Okay. That is what I hear him saying. Okay. And this is also what I held. I don't say that it is perfect document. It isn't. Okay. And I don't think whether any Kenyans will say this is a perfect, but it is toward perfection. Okay. This is what I feel.
Reverend, if the president was to come to church on Sunday, would you allow him to speak?
No.
It's a yes or no?
Yeah, I will.
He's a politician, right?
No, listen. The president has been at All Saints many, many times. He is the president. And let us now separate here about the president and the Uhuru. He carries a mandate. He carries an office. I will. But let me tell you, before President Uhuru comes to All Saints Cathedral, I guide him. Your Excellency, I'll give you 2 minutes. And here, we'll not talk about politics. Prove me wrong. He has never. We guide him. Both the Archbishop and myself, we do that. Remember, our Archbishop has also been very vocal because he has seen the danger. Therefore, to answer your question, yes, I would, but I know he would never. And that is the control we've been able to put to safeguard the sanctity of the church.
Okay. There's something else you also said, Reverend, about a nation of thieves. Let's listen to that so that you explain what you meant by this.
Can I tell you this?
When you go there and become corrupt, even if you brought all the money, not just tithe, and brought it to the altar here, God cannot be bribed by you. You will not get the blessing. God blesses what he has given us through good and hard work. Those tenders you do there, and you corrupt your way by bribing, don't bring blessings on you. You will see the effect of those things even on your children. No wonder the president the other day confessed that 2 billion shillings are lost every day. Now, you know, Mr. President is not just a simple guy. When a whole president confesses that 2 billion shillings are lost, believe it, it's true. Mr. President, thank you for the confession that we are all thieves minus opportunities. But what does that tell you? Mr. President, you have the EACC, you have the DPP, you have the NIS, you have every government machinery at your disposal. Either the government knows who steals the Kenyan money, or the government is part of the stealing.
Reverend, do you really believe we are a nation of thieves without opportunity?
Oh yeah, we are busy looking for opportunities to loot this nation. Let me create a context in which that comment comes. And that's why somebody should not just react to a small comment that I made on BBI and make judgment on me. Please listen to the entire sermon. I was talking about the demands of leadership. And I said leadership carries a cost. And I was talking about 3 points. And the third point was we need to maximize as leaders on values. And I said Kenya as a nation doesn't lack leaders. It lacks leadership. Kenyans are people that lack strong values, whether religious and otherwise. Values are the ones that sustain a society. Kenya today, and prove me wrong, everybody looks for an opportunity. And you know who has created that narrative? It is actually the politicians. You elect somebody in a position. Within 1 year, a number of things have happened. Number one, they are driving a big car. Number two, they have a big home, if not two. They have a lot of money. Whoever asks them where they get their money. Another thing that happens, within the first year of Parliament or the Senate, they have adjusted their salaries. You know what? If you do that at the top, it trickles down. Look, a lorry overturns with goods. What do Kenyans do? They loot it. To an extent that they loot petroleum. And you know how dangerous. And we have many, many cases in Sachangwan and other places. As a religious leader, what do I see? Lack of values. As I grew up, my mother, if I ever came with some zamani zile ziliitwa mapeni, I come with it home and she would ask me, where did you get that money? I collected by the way. She would ask me, literally in my mother tongue, is it only your eyes that see this? And you know what? She would eat me literally with her teeth and tell me, take that money back. What was my mother teaching me? That anything that is not yours, don't take it. What we now preach today, directly or indirectly, is that people can be rich too quickly without anybody questioning them.
Okay.
So we religious leaders become bad when we question people.
Okay.
Where do you get this money? Now, Trevor, when a young man becomes very wealthy all of a sudden, big cars and all that, and goes to the village, does the mother ask the son where they got the money?
Yeah.
They adore them, they worship them, they never question them.
Mm-hmm.
So slowly, and these are the three institutions that I've been addressing.
Yeah.
this society, the family, first of all, needs to create a value-laden culture that teaches you hard work and don't steal, because stealing does not bring blessings. So you move from a principle of hard work that brings riches to now a value of hard work. Why is chapter 6 still having such a big problem? And that's what I really would have wanted us to discuss in the BBI. How do we institutionalize our values? The chapter 6, making it the software of this nation. Can I tell you this?
Yeah, very briefly.
Let me tell you, even if you have the BBI, the current constitution, and 10 of them, if you don't change the soul, the software of human beings, this country will be lost. How can a whole president confess that 2 million is lost every day? Actually, this economy then is very strong. That 2 million times 365 can be lost every day, and I want to imagine that is not the maximum, that is the minimum. What is the president telling us? And president here is not just the person of Uhuru Kenyatta. This is the person of the president. What is he telling us? Then our institutions are not working. Because the president, although he may not have power, because the constitution doesn't give him a lot of power, the president should be able to drive value-laden culture where people work hard.
Sheikh, how do we restore this value system that we're talking about?
Actually, from one perspective, if you look at it from one perspective, my worldview, since I was in this country, it is the first president that I hear. He talks the ill of his country, and that is a positive thing. Maybe others were hiding. So he was sincere in saying, what is required is that the president was truthful to us, that this is what is happening. Therefore, according to me, it is a good aspect of the president that he says this is what is happening to the country. And we hope he is not just saying, but he will be cracking the whip on that matter, because there are other presidents who were before, and we know that this vice of corruption is ingrained in us. And it has been persistent for a long time that we will not solve. Now it became compound complex. It is terrible that I don't know whether we are going to legalize, or I don't know what is going to happen, because now to stop it, it is even going to our institutions, like even our religious leaders, and our religious institutions are corrupt. It has permeated all over the Kenyans. Therefore, it is only what is going to happen is we must adopt a paradigm shift in values and norms. That cannot be stopped, and that starts from up and down, and all of us wage war against these things. Without that one, we cannot say only the president can stop. We know that. The business community, the religious leaders, the politicians, and everybody is involved in this thing. Therefore, it is a wave, it is a flood. And it is the best time that we come up with ways and models that how did many countries overcome these problems of corruption. And like now our religion says that the corrupter and the corrupted are all actually in hell, and at the same time they are cast by God. And now we are being cast by God. And that is why all the ill things are here with us. We are not, the country is, last week, I passed through some areas in Wajir South, and I found about 5 villages without schools and health facilities. People were crying. Women were actually, women were giving birth in the streets without health. How do you think of a country almost 60 years independent, and some of its people are living in a chaotic situation? It is abroad. It is actually not acceptable. However, let us hail the president, but let us also expect he will crack the whip.
Let me play some of the sound bites that came, then I'll come to you, Reverend, in just a bit. There's a lot of videos that also came through. Let me play some of them. This is what you're saying.
Banning the politicians from messing with the pulpit is one thing, and banning the clergy from inviting the politicians is another. If only the clergy can stop forthwith from inviting the clergy in the pulpit, mambo itakuwa sawa sawa kama vile ilikuwa wakati Yesu alianzisha kanisa yeye mwenyewe. Thank you.
The church is a place where people from different political parties and persuasions go to. So the leader taking one stand should be avoided because he should be talking to the whole church and preaching to the church, not talking on political matters that may divide the church.
I think we cannot separate the politics from our church, because even some of us pastors are doing politics and are aspiring to be politicians while in the church. So you cannot just chase us from the church because we want to be politicians. Thank you.
Let us give them free space to come and worship their God and to serve their gods, because they are our children, they are our fathers, and they are our brothers and sisters. Some of them are parents of the congregants that we have. Suppose we lock them out of the church just because of the political atmosphere in the country. Where are they? Where will they go?
Yeah. And Reverend, there's another concern here from one David Osiany. He's the CEO for Crestwood Marketing and Communications. He says the provost has a calling to be a voice of God, but he must forever remember that this calling must always be neutral and truthful. If he opposes these two tenets, he will even earn the respect of those he confronts.
Well,
neutral and truthful.
I think I've done exactly that. But let me go back to my thesis.
Yeah.
The gospel of Jesus Christ will never be neutral. It will challenge. Let's be comfortable to be told when we are wrong. Kenyans, you want a pacified gospel that makes you feel nice? If that is allowed, then you don't have a church. The truth, I spoke the truth. And let me tell you, history will judge us. The Muges of those days, the Okulus of those days, the Njoyas of those days are today's saints. They stood against the evils, the sins that were happening in the society. And I think the clergy, that is your role. Can I correct an impression? Nobody says politicians should not come to church. They are actually welcome. They are our brothers and sisters. But they don't come with expectation. They should come to worship the Lord and go home. Let us leave altars, mosques, just for worship. Yeah. Then if you want to have political meetings, politics is about us. Even me, as provost, I will leave my office. I will come and engage in a discourse on matters politics. But where one group comes this Sunday, attacks the other, then the other one wants to come to counter, that is not healthy.
Okay. Sheikh.
You mentioned the two words, and the friend mentioned two words, the truthfulness.
Yes.
The truth has one way. It has no different way. But I dispute on the word neutrality.
Yeah.
The word neutrality is polysemous in nature. It has many various meanings. Now, yes, neutral from some aspects when it comes to faith matters and when it comes to the uprightness.
Yeah.
But if you will be neutral on the wrongs being done, then you are not assisting. It has, I said the word neutrality should not be taken as it arises. It is a polysemous word. That means it has many multiple meanings.
Yeah.
And now, telling him that you are supposed to be neutral is wrong, because the word does not only cover being neutral on what he is supposed to. Neutrality is diverse in meanings,
yeah,
and whatsoever he might mean. But what I'm saying is, to be neutral in what is supposed to be conveyed by the religious leaders
Yeah.
That means the religious leader has abdicated his role in telling the public that this is good and this is right.
Okay. So the other issue here now, Reverend, is if your congregant comes to you and asks you, the BBI is out there, politicians are saying the referendum is coming, should they vote yes or no, as is?
I don't think that is my responsibility.
But you are guiding them
No.
and telling them the truth.
No. I don't. I'm not telling people what they should vote. This is a democratic space. What I will do is to ask him, what is your view? And what will I do? I will educate him on what is my view. We will also look at what are the other views.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell him, now you're well educated, go make the decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also the other issue is how can churches differentiate when we talk about, you mentioned the issue of people bringing money and if they've gotten it from tenders and they will not be blessed. But how then can the church differentiate? If I come to you and give my offering or my tithe, how would you know where it came from?
Well, number one, you don't give to me. You give to God. You don't give to God adulterated money. Remember, it's called an offering or a sacrifice.
Yeah.
So it's not something you give out of pleasure. You actually give it out of denial. And if you're well guided by the tenets of your religion,
Yeah.
you should have earned it justly.
So it's more of a conscience.
Yeah, it's more of a conscience. And I'm not the moral police of my members. They should ask themselves the question, how did they earn the money? And you know what I was doing yesterday? I was not just talking about politicians, so that we don't dwell on politicians, because politicians are our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I was also speaking to my own congregation, and I was telling them, don't just condemn the top. I'm also telling you, earn it justly. And let me tell you, it is both in Christianity and in Islam. If you corrupt, what you are buying is a curse for you and for your children.
Okay.
So me as provost, and that's why I would not judge people who give money in church, and that is not to encourage it, but I will teach people the values.
Okay.
And then conscience will guide them.
Sheikh, I'll give you a chance for closing remarks because we've run out of time already. Just make your closing remarks.
To concur with him, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
giving money to the religious institutions is context ruled. That is to say, the context of the person is paying that money. If now during political rallies, people rush to the institutions asking the support of the religious leaders, it is an obvious, this is a corruption. In addition to that one, the context that you are giving, why do you only give when you have some objectives and something to convey to the people of personal selfish? Why do you go to rushing all over running to the kanisas and the mosques? Yeah. We mosques, we are a bit, we don't allow the politicians to go and do those things mostly. Yeah. And that is one of the healthy parts of the Muslims. But we can see that what is happening around here, when political rallies happens, people rush to the religious institutions. It is an abomination, and it is very clear the context that you are giving is wrong. Why don't you give in the normal circumstances? Yeah. Why do you make it at a specific place where you are what you are giving is doubtful? Yeah. This is now where what we are running away from.
Okay. Let me read some of these views before I give you a chance to give your closing remarks, Reverend. David Ngari says the Kenyan thugs know that for them to survive, they must create animosity between the poor masses. Why have we never seen ugly skirmishes in Muthaiga, Lavington, Karen, but all the time it's in Kibra, Kawangware, Madare, and so on? Stephen Mutoro says, on the 8th day of creation, Reverend Sami Wanaina became a media celebrity in Kenya for repeating what has been said by others, only that he read out the script on the pulpit. But does he have such a history of bishops like Muge Okulu, or is out to lead a no campaign on the BBI? I'll give you a chance to respond to that. Hakaido, churches make a lot of money when political clowns use the pulpit for political gains. Churches are purely business endeavors. To separate the two requires policy formulation and legal institutional frameworks. It's rampant and upcoming in Africa. I'll just read two more. Dr. Luchetu Likaka says, we have lost values as a society and it is not easy even to practice any religion. We are a society without morals and social fabric. Leadership is now about how much you can amass and control. Corruption is now one of our national values here. And Mercy Kim Chong says, I think it's not necessary to ban politicians from the pulpit because the churches needs the money and the fund to run most of its developments. Is what you're watching from Kitale National Polytechnic. Yes, your closing remarks.
Well, churches should never be sustained by a politician unless he is a member.
Yeah, you had mentioned that earlier.
The church should be sustained by the membership.
Okay.
Number two, this discussion between the poor and the rich is actually a healthy discussion that should be opened for discussion. However, no politician then should use that as the carrot before the horse. And that is the Hustler dynasty narrative that is actually now trickling all the way down. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was telling me he was in a taxi in Homa Bay, and the taxi man is telling him, look at these buildings, these are the dynasties. And you know what? One of the buildings is actually this guy. So already he was telling me, even in my village, somebody would think I am a dynasty. It has now mutated in a bad way, and it is used, if I want to loot you, I brand you. So we don't need that. But surely, how do you have a nation of maybe 10% very wealthy people and about 80% very poor people? Is that right? That we have even some people who cannot feed themselves. They cannot take their children to school. In a developing country like Kenya, this is the discussion that needs to be opened up. No Kenyan should actually go hungry. This country, if all that money is lost, as the president confessed, if it is put together and managed well at the national government and at the county government, every Kenyan would have a piece of bread to eat. I would advocate for that. I am not here to advocate for yes and no campaigns. That is not my work. The church is the moral conscience of the society. I will do my role.
Okay. Thank you so much for making time this evening, Reverend Canon Sami Wanaina, Provost, All Saints Cathedral, and Dr. Sheikh Rashid Ali Omar, retired Deputy Chief Qadi. I see a lot of your feedback. We tried to run some of them there, but we ran out of time. Let's do this again next week. My name is Trevor Mbija. Always a pleasure having you with us. Good night for now.